Hey guys, today we are taking a look at the temperance movement, and this is such a fascinating thing. It's been going on for a long time. It predates the whole progressive movement, but it will find its end in the progressive movement. So let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at this because women have been fighting for this. Men have been fighting for this for a long time, although women were really the driving force behind it, especially in its early days. They had viewed alcohol as kind of the root of all social ills, all social evil, that it was going to lead to abuse and neglect and financial trouble, gambling, prostitution, abandonment. I mean, you could link this to so many of social society's problems. And they felt like by getting rid of alcohol or tempering the use of it, hence the temperance movement, that they could improve society dramatically, right, by getting rid of so many of these different things. Now, the reality is they really seek to rid the nation of alcohol consumption or dramatically lower it. Um, they're kind of on a crusade to do that because it certainly affects women, it certainly affects children. Uh, Men are going to do what they want to do, but the women's sphere is in the home, except that what you do out there affects them in the home. It affects their ability to to do the grocery shopping and take care of the home, to raise the children properly. And so they kind of, many women become crusaders for this. Now they're going to find a natural ally in the church because drunkenness, gambling, prostitution, so many of these things that they're combating, the church views as a sin. So the church is a natural ally. So now you've got women and the kind of post Second Great Awakening church are all on board with this. So what we'll see is that these temperance crusaders are going to begin to organize. Again, we see that common theme of raising awareness and then organizing around a cause or an issue. So they're going to organize things like the Women's Christian Temperance Union. That was a big one. It was founded by Frances Willard. You're also going to see things like the Anti-Saloon League. And so it wasn't just one. There were many different organizations, many different groups, sometimes very local, sometimes statewide, and sometimes they organized on a national level. Now, what we will see is that temperance groups are going to kind of collectively take the dues, collectively take the charitable contributions, and put those where they think they will be best suited, where they can make the greatest inroads. They're going to lobby politicians that they believe are sympathetic. They're going to write articles in newspapers and magazines. They're going to hold rallies. They're going to try to produce material that they can get into the education systems so that they can temper alcohol use before it becomes a problem in adulthood. There are a lot of different things going on. This is one of the things that was produced at the time and widely circulated. Here we see these are the people who are going to pay the price for alcoholism. It's the women and the children. But they start off with somebody who's just a social drinker, and then of course it escalates. These are the different steps. They become a gambler. They're spending more time at the saloons, more time with alcohol. Then it causes money problems. They become poverty stricken and destitute, disease ridden, and it ends here in suicide. So they had definitely a very dire look at alcohol. They used all kinds of tactics. This is a particularly interesting one. Lips that touch liquor shall not touch ours. And you've got these women saying this is such an important issue to us that that will be a non-starter. If you are drinking alcohol, you're not getting with us, right? We'll see others take it to even greater extremes. Carrie A. Nation. I'm not sure if that was her real name or not, but that's what the world knows her as, Carrie A. Nation. Uh, Story has it that her husband died of alcohol related issues, and she becomes just very involved in trying to end alcohol and alcohol consumption. And so she goes to bars with a hatchet and she busts up all the kegs of beer, breaks up all the bottles of alcohol, chases patrons out, basically shuts the bar down. Now, obviously, you do something like that, that is private property. You're going to be prosecuted. So she gets arrested, she gets fined, but then she gets released. She had supporters often that would pay her fines for her, pay for her bail and release. And then she would go through the process all over again. In fact, it got so much press that people began sending her hatchets and train tickets to their town, right? She became a national hero to people who supported the idea of the temperance movement, and a villain to anybody who went to saloons or owned a saloon. And so we see people like Carrie Nation just really capturing the imagination of the nation, especially those that want to see an end put to consumption. Now, the movement is going to grow alongside the women's suffrage movement, right? Because this is such a, no, it wasn't solely a woman's issue, but many women had kind of taken this up. And so as they are fighting for temperance, they're also going to be fighting for the right to vote, because the two things could be closely linked. If they get the right to vote, they can be more effective as temperance fighters. And so we're seeing them grow up together. The movement really gains traction and gets alcohol kind of removed, right? Certain counties or certain towns will vote to go dry if there's enough support in that area. Eventually, they even get some states to go dry, well before you see the passage of the 18th Amendment. Eventually, what we will see is that the 18th Amendment, this says 19th, that's incorrect, right? It's the 18th Amendment that passes, and it will ban the production, the transport, the sale of alcohol, and temperance becomes prohibition. At one point, we wanted to temper the use of alcohol, but now that it's been banned, it's prohibited. Now this is the prohibition era. And so the nation becomes dry. It took over 100 years, but the 18th Amendment is finally passed in 1919, and alcohol is banned across the country. Now, that creates another set of problems, and we will look at the Prohibition era in another video. That is fascinating, but that's the end of this movement. And so I hope you learned something about how it kind of grows. There's a lot more fascinating, interesting parts to it, and so I would encourage you to look into that. If you would, go ahead and subscribe. Leave me any comments. If there's anything that you think I missed, I'd love to hear from you or answer any questions. But thanks for watching. I really appreciate it, guys.